Prime Minister leading conversations to link the Trans-Pacific Partnership 11-country bloc with the European Union 27 member states to create a rival trading bloc to the U.S.
Two of the world's biggest trade powerhouses are now vying for an alliance to bypass Trump's tariffs.
But if it does come together, it would be the second largest trading bloc in the world.
A discussion between CPTPP nations and the EU might have some future fruits.
Something just shifted in global power, and almost nobody noticed. While political headlines focused on rallies and tariff threats, something much quieter was happening behind closed doors. Canada wasn't arguing. Europe wasn't panicking. Asia wasn't waiting. They were signing. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is now leading discussions to link the Trans-Pacific Partnership with the European Union, potentially creating one of the largest trade alliances in history. And notably, it would function independently of the United States. This isn't symbolic, it's structural. For decades after World War II, the global system revolved around one central force. Institutions were built around cooperation, open trade, shared markets, and predictable leadership. That framework created stability, not perfection, but stability. Now imagine that structure slowly being adjusted, not collapsing overnight, not exploding in dramatic fashion, just quietly recalibrating. At the recent Munich Security Conference, the tone was different. Leaders spoke with a new confidence. There was less deference, more independence, a sense that the old hierarchy may no longer apply in the same way. Because when a superpower pulls back from multilateral cooperation, the rest of the world doesn't freeze, it reorganizes. Canada has deepened engagement across the Pacific. Europe continues tightening economic integration across its 27 member states. Asian markets are diversifying supply chains. Trade corridors are expanding. Arctic defense discussions between Canada and European partners are increasing. None of this trends on social media, but it matters. Markets run on predictability. Investors don't respond to applause, they respond to stability. And when tariffs, sudden policy swings, or political unpredictability increase risk, capital adjusts. It happens quietly. And then one day, leverage that once seemed permanent isn't. Trade between Canada and the European Union has already been climbing. Defense coordination outside traditional post-war structures is expanding. Supply chains that once depended heavily on North American markets are slowly rerouting. Diversification equals independence. This isn't ideological, it's strategic. Countries hedge against risk the same way corporations do. If exposure feels unstable, they reduce it. For decades, Washington held enormous institutional influence, but power isn't owned, it's rented. And the rent is paid in consistency. If partners begin calculating unpredictability as a liability, the architecture of global influence changes. What we may be witnessing is the early formation of a multipolar era, not dominated by one singular voice, but shaped by networks of aligned middle powers cooperating around shared interests. And here's the part most citizens don't feel yet. Gas prices still fluctuate, stock markets still move, elections still dominate headlines. But beneath the surface, trade routes are shifting, defense agreements are evolving, diplomatic influence is redistributing. The world order built after 1945 isn't being destroyed in one dramatic event. It's being rewritten, quietly, in conference rooms, policy drafts, and long-term contracts. History shows something very clear. When dominant powers assume their leverage cannot shift, that's often when it begins to. This isn't about decline, it's about adaptation. Canada adapting, Europe adapting, Asia adapting. The world isn't waiting for direction, it's creating alternatives. And if the center of gravity continues to move, the next decade could look very different from the last 70 years. The era of unquestioned dominance may not end with a bang. It may end with agreements signed in silence. And when historians look back, this moment may be remembered as the point when the world decided it no longer needed a single leader.